Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're stepping into the ring for a technical title fight, a real showdown between two heavyweights of Java testing, JUnit and TestNG. This is going to be good.
Okay, so here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about why we even need automation in the first place. Then we'll meet our two contenders, put them head to head, see what they actually look like in the code, and then at the end, we'll help you figure out which one is the right choice for you.
So let's set the stage a little bit. Back in the day, software testing was just a grind. It was all manual. Imagine just clicking through the same screens over and over again. It was incredibly tedious, super slow, and yeah, very, very expensive.
So you have to ask, why did the whole software world just fall in love with automation? What was the big problem we were all so desperate to solve?
Well, the answer really came down to two things: efficiency and reliability. Automation frameworks were built to do all that heavy lifting for us, saving a ton of time and money while also catching way more bugs with much better accuracy. I mean, it was a massive improvement for developers and testers alike.
All right, and that brings us right to our first contender, who you could say is the reigning champion in the world of Java testing.
Meet JUnit. I want you to think of it as the classic, totally reliable sedan that you'd use for your daily commute. It's pretty much the industry standard. It was born out of that whole test-driven development philosophy, and honestly, millions of developers know it like the back of their hand. But every champion has a challenger waiting in the wings. So let's meet the contender, one that was designed to really push the boundaries.
And here it is, TestNG. So if JUnit is that reliable sedan, TestNG is kind of like the feature-packed SUV, built for rougher terrain and much bigger trips. It was directly inspired by JUnit, but it was specifically created to handle more complex scenarios, things like integration and end-to-end testing.
Okay, now for the main event. Let's actually put these two frameworks in the ring, side by side, and see how they stack up on some of the core features. First up, grouping tests. Let's say you just want to run a quick set of smoke tests right before you commit your code. TestNG lets you bundle them together into a group and run just that set. With JUnit, you don't really have a simple built-in way to do that. And what about speed? Because this is a big one. On a large project, your test suite could take hours to run. TestNG was literally built for parallel execution, which means it can run multiple tests at the same time, cutting that runtime down to just minutes. This is a huge advantage that JUnit just doesn't offer out of the box.
Okay, how about when you need to run the same test with a whole bunch of different data? Well, this is where TestNG just shines. It has this powerful feature called Data Provider that makes it super easy. JUnit's support for this is, well, it's pretty limited.
So when you look at this summary, a really clear pattern starts to show up, right? TestNG wasn't just built as an alternative. It was designed from the get-go with these more advanced, kind of enterprise-level features in mind. Things like dependency testing and native reporting all baked right in.
Okay, so what does all this actually look like in the code? Well, both frameworks use these things called annotations. You can just think of them as little tags that you put on your methods to tell them what to do. But as we're about to see, what they're capable of is actually pretty different.
In this table, man, this really tells the story. Just look at all those empty spots on the JUnit side. What this means is that TestNG gives you way more granular control over your setup and teardown. You can run code before an entire suite of tests, or just before one specific group. That's something JUnit simply can't do.
So for instance, with TestNG, it's super easy to run a setup method right before a specific group of tests, like, say, your regression suite, just by using the @BeforeGroups annotation.
And this is where you really start to feel the pinch with JUnit. If you wanted to do that exact same thing, well, there's just no clean built-in way to pull it off. You'd have to get creative with workarounds.
And here's another real game changer: TestNG's @Data Provider. This thing lets you just funnel all sorts of complex data sets right into a single test method, which makes your tests incredibly powerful and super reusable.
So after all that, who's the winner? Who wins the fight? Well, the truth is, it's not a simple knockout.
So which one should you choose? It honestly just boils down to what you need. If you're doing simple, straightforward unit tests and you want to stick with the industry standard that everyone knows, JUnit is a fantastic choice. But if you're working on something more complex that needs parallel execution or powerful data-driven testing, then TestNG is the clear choice for that kind of flexibility.
So at the end of the day, it all comes down to this one question you have to ask yourself.
Does my project need that classic simplicity, or does it demand powerful, built-in flexibility? Answering that will tell you whether that reliable sedan or the feature-packed SUV is the right ride for your testing journey.